Yes, the God of the Bible uses objects, and he puts his power in these objects to help connect us divine humans with the divine council, with the divine spiritual realm. He uses the cosmos and he uses objects. Here's some scripture to back up my claim. Just to name a few. Moses' rod and staff of God, Aaron's rod, the bronze serpent, the scarlet cord, the Ark of the Covenant, Elisha's bones, Jesus' garments, Peter's shadow, Paul's handkerchiefs and aprons. Okay, so let's start from the top of my claim. In Exodus all throughout, there is talk of the rod of God. He puts his power in Moses' rod. God empowers Moses' shepherd's staff. The rod becomes a serpent that devours the Egyptian magicians. Water turns to blood with the rod. Brings forth frogs from the waters by the rod. Dust becomes lice when struck. Brings hail. Summons locusts. Parts the Red Sea. Brings water from a rock. All with this rod. Aaron's rod becomes a serpent. Swallows the Egyptians. Shit. Aaron's rod miraculously budded, blossomed, produced almonds to confirm his priesthood. Let's talk about the bronze serpent. God instructs Moses to make a bronze serpent and place it on a pole. Anyone bitten by a poisonous serpent who looked upon it would live. This object had life-saving power through God's command. Jesus later refers to this as a prophetic symbol of his own crucifixion in John. He references Numbers. Did you know that? The scarlet cord, Rahab's scarlet cord, when bound in her window as instructed, became the sign of salvation for her household during Jericho's destruction. The object was placed in the windowsill. Does that sound familiar? Like water that we place in the windowsill on a full moon? Empowers it with God's divine power? What a quinky-dink. Ark of the Covenant, big one. Brought judgment upon the Philistines. Uzzah died when he touched it inappropriately, demonstrating God's power residing in said object. Elisha's bones. A dead man came back to life when his body touched Elisha's bones, showing God's power remained in this person's body after death. Jesus' garments. Matthew and Luke talk about a woman with chronic bleeding was healed just by touching him. And Jesus was like, what the fuck? Who just touched me? Because his clothes had power and he didn't even think about it. Peter's shadow. People laid the sick in the streets so that Peter's shadow might fall on them and they were healed. People's faith in God's power working through even Peter's shadow brought healing. Paul's handkerchiefs and aprons. In Acts, it talks about God doing extraordinary miracles through Paul, so that even handkerchiefs and aprons that had touched him were taken to the sick, and their illnesses were cured. Power in objects. The Bible consistently emphasizes that the power comes from God alone, not from the objects themselves, but these objects serve a purpose. They're instruments of divine power. God chose to work through them. Tests of faith. People had to believe and obey to receive the benefit in this object. Demonstrations of God's sovereignty. He can use anything to accomplish his purpose, even crystals, even tarot cards. Symbols and teaching tools. They pointed to a deeper spiritual truth. As it states in 1 Corinthians 1:27, but God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. This is one of my favorite verses. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things that are mighty, that no flesh should glory in his presence. I rest my case.